Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Come on!
Live from Alachua, Florida, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator of the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show. Welcome to Srimad Bhagavatam. It is episode number 1283? What? 1283. And you know what's interesting, Kastuba? We've had over 1 million downloads.
No, that's Raghunath, duh.
Like,
we've had many millions of downloads.
I know, but million is like that's like a mile marker. That's like a,
we passed that marker of years ago.
Okay, over, let's just say 3 million. How about that?
No,
let's
it's
just
more
round
than
it
3
up.
million. It's way more than 3
It's more than 3 million. Okay, I meant 5 million. Did I say 5? Did I say 1? I meant 5 million.
I can find out for you.
Downloads. It's okay. I just wanted to say there's a lot of Bhagavatam going out there. And
it's probably more like 8 million or something like that.
8 million.
Maybe it's
9
more
million,
than that.
Probably 9. I'd say 9.
It's
likely. It's
would
like
you believe
9 million downloads? Would you believe 9 million downloads? And loving it. Okay, so we're here live today, and I'm experiencing transcendental bliss. I did a program in Alachua last night with not teenagers, but like 18 to 25-year-olds.
It makes you feel young, doesn't it, Raghunath? When you
No, it makes me actually feel old.
Okay.
It makes me feel very, very old. Yeah, trying to explain, like, I don't know, my life to them, but a lot of them live very sheltered lives. So I was like, I was going to the Lower East Side. My 10-year-old son asked 4 questions, as a matter of fact, and then they were good questions, and a few other ones, and I just basically told stories from.
Did those questions have to do with magic tricks?
No, they were like philosophical questions.
Okay.
My 10-year-old was asking. But it was great having Rocco and my daughter Sachi. It was a nice family reunion and all of their friends. And they've got just a sweet community here. And then we went to the Ichituckney River, which is like this crystal clear, 8-foot deep, winding, spring-fed river.
Beautiful.
going through the jungle. Have you done that yet?
I think I've only been to Alachua once in my life.
You know what? You would love
twice,
that.
But it was over 25 years ago.
Although I will say, I wasn't expecting this. And you know how I always joke when I'm in India? I was like, snake. I always say things like snake to freak people out. And I've even brought a rubber snake to India for such fun pranks. A big black rubber snake I purchased on Amazon before I went to India just to freak people out. But I was like paddling down. And I was first. Me and Mara were first, and my little 10-year-old was second. And then there's like 5 other tubes behind us. And I just went right by this log that had an alligator sitting there with his mouth open and jagged teeth. Like,
the first thing you do when you wrestle that thing, Raghunath, I told you yesterday.
No, you told me yesterday. Hold the mouth shut.
Hold the mouth shut.
And I was like, okay. Well, I had a tiny little child-sized paddle in my hand. I was like, this is it. I'm going to have to protect my children with this little plastic paddle. I was like, bring it on. And my son is like, first of all, no one believed me. I'm like the boy who cried wolf. I was like, alligator, tree stump. And everyone's like, yeah, right, Dad. We're sick of your pranks. I was like, there's really an alligator. I was like, get back on your boat, on your raft. No one would believe me. And then, of course, I'm thinking like that alligator is looking right at Tarun, my son, like a tater
Licking
tot,
its
like that
alligator lips.
delicious little tater tot is floating down the water. But you know, if you've ever hung out with alligators, I think they eat once every 2 weeks.
Really?
And I don't think this was on the day because they're just completely still as if they're
What do
dead.
they
You
eat
almost want to
mostly?
like pet them because they're basically incredibly still, just laying in the sun.
What do they eat?
They eat children. Are you kidding?
Come
What do
on.
they
It's
eat?
not like they're eating tons of children. What are they eating on the regular basis?
I don't know. I mean, it depends where
So,
they
so
are.
then how do you
I
know
saw
that
a
they eat
video
once every
yesterday, I
week
saw
or
a
two?
video yesterday of an alligator chasing a sheep.
No, hold it. You just threw out this. You just told me their eating patterns, but you can't even tell me what they eat.
Well, it depends where they are.
Well,
I'm sure
right
they
there in
eat
that
birds.
river.
They eat birds. I've seen one eat a turtle. I don't. It's not. It's like sort of like not eating. It's not like the best meal to
It's
eat.
kind of like eating the shell.
It's like eating sort of one of those fruits that have too many pits that the fruit has never become popular in this country.
It's like eating a nut that's still in the shell.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Raw fish, snakes, turtles, small mammals, birds. But I did see a big one chase a sheep, and they're fast.
Wow.
So it's like I want to paddle away from that alligator to get to the center, but I was like, who am I kidding? They
Alligators can be in the
do
center.
I think they can't swim? They're better swimmers than me. But the land is all marshy. Anyway, that was a great. And then we saw lots of turtles, saw massive herrings and cranes. It was like being in
Nature.
Land of the Lost. It was actually very nice. But anyway, then we came home, did a program. Super sweet.
Okay.
Anyway, today's Walk On Wednesday. I'm going to bring on a special walk on guest. Do you have any announcements, Mara, first? Miss Mara, please welcome Miss Mara. Are you scared of that alligator or not at all?
I was a little scared of it.
She knew how to fight it though now, so she was okay.
Yeah, thanks to Stupa's advice, I was prepared.
I know. Okay, get that snout in a headlock and you stay there while we paddle downstream.
Hold that thing.
All right, we have Bhakti recovery group meetings at 1 and 9:30 today. And then there's no show tomorrow because we're traveling late tonight. And this Sunday is Bhakti Center's Urban Davy with our friend Rukmini Podar.
Oh, Rukmini Podar is going to be there.
She's
Okay. I got an announcement too, Rognath.
Mhm.
So we are often asked by listeners to the podcast for opportunities to serve Wisdom of the Sages. And there is a current need. We're starting to get organized here after four and a quarter years.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you, Linda. So there's a current need for someone to take on a web support role. If you have used tools like Squarespace, Adobe Photoshop, and MailChimp, and have experience with tasks like crafting newsletters, updating websites, editing and uploading audio and video, etc., and have 60 to 90 minutes daily to offer these services to our community, please email Linda at wisdomofthesages108@gmail.com with a summary of your experience and your contact information so that she can connect and discuss. Just put web support in the subject line, and that's it.
Yeah. It sounded so organic. You were so reading from a card.
That sounded organic?
I was joking. I was
Inorganic.
joking. It
Yeah,
wasn't. Well, I know
Well, I
you
wasn't
were
trying to
reading from
hide
a
it.
card, but you got to practice that stuff. So it seems like you're just talking,
Well,
But anyway,
I
it was
think
good.
so.
I think the message got
I think so.
message got across. It was
Okay.
good. Thank you. And yeah, so if you have the time to do that's what. And you got to be steady. Service is like chanting japa,
Yeah.
and sometimes people get excited about a habit,
Yeah.
and they'll want to take on even chanting. They want to take on. Okay, I'm going to chant 16 rounds. Take on small habits. Take on
Okay.
small habits. Chant one round.
Thanks for that advice.
Take on if you want to do some service, take on 10 minutes of service. But sometimes you feel like, no, I've got that time. That's not a big deal, and then maybe that's small for you.
Okay.
But it's useful and it helps grow this community. Thank you very much. So it's Walk on Wednesday. Walk on Wednesday is when we invite somebody from our community onto the show and they give you 5 or 10 minutes about their life, what they're doing. We think that what they're doing is interesting. Please welcome Connor Purcelli. Harry Bull, Connor. I'm gonna.
Guys, thanks for having me.
All right, so Connor is probably one of my oldest friends, maybe my oldest friend, Parmananda's 23-year-old son, and he grew up in a devotee family, nice mom and dad.
I remember when Connor was born.
You remember when he was born?
Yeah, I was in the Boston Temple, and Parmananda was living in Boston at the time.
Yeah, he's walking around showing him off.
Yeah.
Check out my son. I was living in California when he's born. I missed the birth, but I have pictures of him and my kids when they were little pups. And now he's all grown up. How are you doing, Connor?
Good. Yeah, just getting ready to move down to Pennsylvania. Yeah.
Yeah, you were just in India. How was your trip to India?
It was amazing. It was amazing. Yeah. I went last year and I kind of thought I had a better idea of what to expect after last year, and it just completely blew my mind again. So
now you did something which is incredibly important to advance in spiritual life, and that is win the hearts of the Brijbasis, which is the Brijbasis are the people that live in the holy dham, the holy villages, and endear yourself to them. And you did that because you're a tattooist and you started tattooing all the sadhus. You want to share something about that?
yeah, sure. So I just kind of brought my stuff because last year I saw some people tattooing on the street there. And I just wanted to try it. So I didn't really know what to expect or how it was going to go. And then one day when we were walking at Govardhan Hill, I saw this sadhu with tattoos on his face. He had a bunch of tattoos already. So I just went up to him and asked if he wanted one. He didn't really speak English, so I had to do kind of like hand gesture.
You did a little charades with the sadhus?
And eventually he got it. So I set up my stuff, and immediately before I even started the tattoo, I had a whole crowd of people around.
Oh, really? I was
These
wondering
are like people
how
that were
like you.
circumambulating Govardhan Hill, and they were just kind of stopping to check out what you're
Yeah, it
doing.
was that, and there was there's that little section where there's all the people that sleep there and beg and everything.
Okay.
There was a lot of those people too.
Oh, right by Don Gatti, probably, huh?
Yeah. So that I was wondering like how the word got out amongst the Brijbasis. Like how did they spread the word out? Tattoo kid from America here. But it seems like I guess one guy saw you, and then they started a list or something, a waiting list.
It wasn't even that organized. It was just every free for all, everybody coming up asking me for one.
What kind of tattoos did they want?
Yeah. And how did they explain it? Or did you just like, I'm going to give you whatever I want? How did that work?
For that, I had like a little flash sheet of just like devotional kind of tattoos, Ganesh, Shiva, that kind of stuff. They did not want that at all. They want like American tattoos.
They wanted like an anchor.
Yeah, that type of stuff. Yeah.
Sadhus. Well, and so how many tattoos did you end up doing while you were there? I mean, you were only in Govardhan for a few days.
I did four tattoos. Yeah.
Nice. I saw one of them actually. I saw the guy because I saw a photo of you tattooing. What's your Instagram account called again?
My Instagram is Let's Kidnap Kana, Kana.
Kana is the name, not Connor. Kana, Kana, which is a beautiful name. It means like a young Krishna. And so Let's Kidnap Kana is his Instagram account, and he's moving to Hawley. Is that it? Hawley, Pennsylvania, near Harrisburg.
Yeah.
And he's gonna do start tattooing there. And we just wanted to support people in our community doing what they do. If you want a devotional tattoo, Let's Kidnap Kana. You can DM him on his Instagram account and see his work there. But I think it was a great idea, Kostuba, don't you? Serve the Brijbasis. And how do you serve them? Well, in the old days, you just used to give them maha sweets in the old days. But now they want like a sleeve, or a back piece. And times they are changing, but the principle is the same. You please you please the devotees, and Krishna gives you blessings. And I can tell you've got the blessings, Kana, because you're inspired in bhakti. And that's a great thing. I think people need a little inspiration in their life, what to speak of spiritual inspiration.
Can I throw something in? Because Kana's too humble to mention this.
Sure.
The devotees loved him, the Brijbasis loved him so much that whenever we would walk around, all the little kids would be like, let's kidnap Kana, let's kidnap Kana.
Oh, that's where it came from, huh?
And all the rickshaw drivers would give us rides for free because they saw that Kana was serving the sadhus and giving them tattoos. So he
Wow.
really did endear himself to the Govardhan Basis, which was nice.
Sound like he really made a splash in the local community there.
He did.
You might just want to move there, Kana. It's fun to have a whole community that loves you. You know what I mean? You could be a guru or a leader, head citizen or something. I see on the message board, Connor, not Kana, Connor, one of our regular listeners, put up a gopal tattoo that you did for him.
Yeah.
That's
Isn't
pretty
that, Parmanand, isn't that where the name Kana came from? Because you were living in Southie Boston at the time, and you wanted a name like it sounds like Connor, like in the Boston accent, Kana.
Yeah.
That is very sort of Irish Boston name. But Kana, Kanu, they're all like charming names of little Krishna. It's great. It's a Brijbasi name, so they must love saying it too, the locals. Well, thanks. Well, good luck for your adventures, and more than that, I'm just happy to see the second generation of devotees inspired in bhakti, and your father, who's also a very sincere and dedicated devotee, and has done so much for so many people. That tradition is passing on to you, and in that spirit of giving, Kana, we're very impressed, and we wish you well. And if you're interested in one of these devotional tattoos, check out Let's Kidnap Kana. And then you can post your picture on our message board. Thank you, Kana.
Thank you guys so much. Haribol.
Haribol, keep up the good work.
Yeah.
That was nice, Kastuba.
Yeah.
Okay, it's time for Kastuba and Mara to get a tattoo. We've been waiting.
Yeah, I've been waiting.
Come on, everybody's doing it. Linda, tattoo your neck. I think she needs a neck piece. She's showing off some wrist. That's not a tattoo. Come on, Linda. You need neck. Neck is nothing now. In the old days, neck was something. Now it's a big deal. Got a neck tattoo.
Yeah, neck. All right, Raghu. Let's do this.
Show your sincerity, Kastuba. Get a neck tattoo. You're really
Is
serious
that-
about
is
this.
that
You're really
the-
serious about this
The
bhakti
hallmark
thing.
of devotional sincerity.
It's something. It's saying, you know what? This is what I am.
All right.
Okay. All right. What do you say we jump into the Srimad Bhagavatam?
Let's do it.
Narayanam namaskritya naram chaiva narottamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam madirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayesha badreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated, and loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Asmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkness of ignorance. My teachers are opening my eyes with the torchlight of knowledge. I offer my obeisances at their lotus feet. Reading from the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 7, Chapter 8, Chapter 7, Text 17.
Who's speaking, Raghu?
Speaking Prahlad is speaking.
That's-
Young Prahlad.
Who's he speaking to?
He's speaking to the children of the demons at his boarding school.
Yeah.
Sort of like
Yeah.
Mara when she was a kid, preaching to
Private
her
school.
friends. Yeah, it's a private school. It's like a boarding school. It's like Mara at private school teaching all the young girls at Emma Willard. Did
yeah.
you try to enlighten them, Mara, on transcendental topics? No. Okay. So it's slightly different story. All right.
So we just have one of the great Mahajans here, one of the great all-time teachers of Dharma, all-time teachers of Bhakti.
Yeah.
One of the great knowers of truth. But he's just a little 5-year-old boy.
Yeah.
But he got this truth somehow, and he embodied it so much. And his friends were asking, where did you learn all this stuff? Because none of our teachers teach this. They teach kind of the opposite. And he said, I learned it in the womb, actually. I was, when my mother, my father, who was this super tyrant, he kind of left home for a while just to build up the strength of through austerity, to build up his power. They left my mother alone, and all the enemies of my father, the Devas, headed by Indra, came and they kidnapped my mother, knowing that she was going to give birth to me, right?
They were going after the kid.
They were afraid that the spawn of Hiranyakashipu, his son, would be another next tyrant in line. And so they kidnapped her, and they're like, just let us. And Narada said, no, you can't.
Isn't this similar to the story of Yoda, baby Yoda?
But yesterday you were in the Bible. I don't know anything about baby Yoda. Raghunath.
I don't either. But didn't they try to capture baby Yoda, and they were hiding the baby? Yeah, any Star Wars people put that on the board. I'm a little bit too old for that.
So Indra kidnapped the mother of Prahlad, the wife of Hiranyakashipu, and Narada, who's he's on he's this sage, but he's such a sage that he's actually appreciated on both sides, both by the Devas and the Asuras, the demons. He said, you can't take her like that. This is wrong. And they're like, no, she's going to give birth to this, to this next tyrant in line. And he said, actually, you don't understand at all. Actually, she's going to give birth to a great devotee of Lord Vishnu. You have no idea. And they're like, oh, really? Okay. And then they circumambulated her to honor him and moved on. And she stayed while Hiranyakashipu was off doing his austerity. She stayed in the ashram of Narada. Narada spoke, the Bhakti, Divya Jnana, transcendental knowledge of Bhakti to Prahlad and her. But he mentions that she forgot it all, but I remembered it all. And so that's what we're picking up now.
Very interesting.
Text 17. This text 17 is kind of like a prelude to the rest of this chapter, which is an encapsulation of Narada's teachings to Prahlad. And it's really, well, let's get started, and there's some cool stuff we can show.
Prahlad Maharaj continued, my dear friends, if you can place your faith in my words, simply by that faith, you can also understand transcendental knowledge, just like me, although you are small children. Similarly, a woman can also understand transcendental knowledge and know what is spirit and what is matter. Because yesterday they were making that distinguish between men and women.
Yeah, well, yesterday he was saying, my mother didn't remember all of this. I remembered it all, right? But he's saying there is no external disqualification when it comes to bhakti. You're all children. You're thinking, what can we learn? No.
In these ancient times, everything was distinct. Your caste was distinct. Nowadays, we're all sort of
big blend,
a big bunch of mutts.
Yeah,
we're mutts. Everything was like your birth and who your family lineage was, and your families can't marry that family. That's marrying down. And you'll hear that all over Hinduism, and not just Hinduism, all ancient cultures. You'll hear this. You marry someone of your, what's the word they used? Of your
caste? What?
Well, that's what the Indians use. But Mara, come on, you went to private school. What do they say? Of
stature,
your caliber,
status?
stature. Yeah, and so, but in Vaishnavism, it's really not supposed to be like that, actually, because we understand all those things. Yeah, there's distinctions. There are definitely classes of people that are much smarter than me. There are definitely, you go to like Europe. For me, when I go to Europe, it's like you pull into, Holland, forget it. Everyone's giant. Even the urinals on the wall, I can't use this. This is
Right.
what are they? I was like, what is going on here? So there's like,
maybe they weren't urinals. Maybe there was something else.
That's a
Those were
window,
water
man.
fountains.
What are you doing? Get
Those
out
are
of
water
there.
fountains.
That's a- But anyway,
That's why they hate Americans.
The idea is that there's cultures and there's just, but all those are secondary, of course, obviously, because everyone's a spiritualist. We'll even take it outside the human differences, right? They're smart and they're strong and there's, tall and they're slender and there's blondes and there's brunettes and we'll take it outside the human species. Every living entity, even that reptilian, cruel looking alligator is actually a pure spirit soul. They just have a different body.
Yeah.
And in this case, hey, here is a little boy born in a bloodline of demons. And he happens to be a pure devotee.
Mhm.
And has become a pure devotee from hearing. This is the key.
And
right?
yeah, exactly. It's hearing is the key, but he qualifies that hearing a bit here too. He says, simply by the faith, right? He says, if you can place your faith in my words, simply by that faith, you can also understand transcendental knowledge, just like me, although you're small children, right? So there's this, he's saying, here's the qualification. It has nothing to do with gender, has nothing to do with age even. It has nothing to do with what family you're born in. This is merit-based. Anyone that comes forward that's able to open their mind, right? Open their mind, open their heart, set aside all of our skepticism and give it a fair chance. Hear it out, then you can understand this. And there's some, Prabhupada kind of hones in on this in the commentary. He says, these words of Prahlad Maharaj are very important in regard to knowledge descending by the disciplic succession. Even when Prahlad Maharaj was a baby within the womb of his mother, he became fully convinced of the existence of the supreme power because of hearing the powerful instructions of Narada and understood how to attain perfection in life by bhakti yoga. These are the most important understandings in spiritual knowledge. And then he quotes 3 verses that speak to these are famous verses. These are verses that from 3 different sources that are kind of, devotees commonly commit these to memory. These are pretty popular ones. First one he quotes is from the Svetashvatara Upanishad. Yasya deve para bhaktir. You know that one, Raghunath? Yata deve tatagarao. Tasyaitar katita hyarta. Prakashante mahatmanaha. Unto those great souls who have implicit faith, both in the Lord and in the Guru, all the imports of Vedic knowledge are automatically revealed. Then he quotes this other one. This one, Prabhupada writes, it's quoted as being from Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, but I think even there it's citing the original source, which is Padma Purana. Ata Shri Krishna Namadi na bhaved graham indriyai sevan mukhe hi jiva dao svayameva sparatyada. No one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses. Right? These instruments do not pick up that vibration, right? You can't take a record player and hear the radio through it. And similarly,
we're blunt. That's a great.
Yeah, you can't pick up the vision of the form of Krishna merely with these regular eyes. So no one can.
No, I'm just saying. So we're hearing from the Mahajans, and guess what, people?
You can see
that's what we're doing every day. We're hearing from the Mahajans. We're hearing from the Bhagavatam every day, and that's how we change.
Yes. So the translation of that one is, no one can understand Krishna as he is by the blunt material senses, but he reveals himself to those devotees, being pleased with them for their transcendental loving service unto him. So it has everything to do with the attitude, And finally, he quotes from the Bhagavad Gita, Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavanyas chasmi tatvataha tato mam tatvato gyatva Vishate tadanantaram. One can understand the Supreme Person as he is only by devotional service.
Hmm.
And when no other, and that's, that means not through jnana,
Sure.
not through tapasya, not through knowledge, not through austerity, not through ritual, or all these different other Vedic or yogic processes, but only through bhakti, only through devotion. And when one is in full consciousness of the Supreme Lord by such devotion, one can enter into the kingdom of God. So Prabhupada concludes, these are Vedic instructions. One must have full faith in the words of the spiritual master and similar faith in the Supreme Personality of God. Then the real knowledge of Atma and Paramatma and the distinction between matter and spirit will be automatically revealed. This Atma Tattva, or spiritual knowledge, will be revealed within the core of a devotee's heart because of his having taken shelter of the lotus feet of a Mahajana, a great person, such as Prahlad Maharaj.
This is, again, this is one of those things like, wait, is this sectarian? The idea is that if you really want to understand any being, the best way to do it, and there's a lot of ways to understand people. I can look at Mara, I can notice her, I can take notes on what she's doing, I can go through her writings, her journals,
steal her diary.
I can go into her
You're
phone
cracking
and
a
look at her
lock on the
text
diary,
messages.
trying to pick the thing with a
trying to figure out the password of her phone. Mara's one of the few people that do not put passwords on her phones. She's like an open book. But my point is, if you really want to know someone, you learn to love that person. And when you learn to love that person, they start to share everything with you. They share their joys, their hopes, their inspirations, their sadness, their fears, their anxiety. And the same is with, you could do that with an animal, right? If you really want to get to the bottom of why is this dog sort of feisty and angry, you learn to love a dog. I'm serious. Listen.
I'm with you.
And the dog starts to reveal his heart. You'll start to understand a dog better than other.
Has Gus revealed himself to you?
Yes. And then you do that with humans as well. Person that you love, a child, when they feel like they're safe, they start to reveal themselves to you. Krishna is the same way. God is the same way. The absolute truth is the same way. You know the absolute truth by the mercy of the absolute truth because you're in love with the absolute truth. And then all of a sudden, the absolute truth, Lord Krishna starts to reveal his heart to you, and you understand Krishna's heart. You understand how to serve him. And then he starts to lead you out of the quicksand of the material world.
Nice.
It's real, and you can see it happen in this world. So love it. This bhakti love thing is not just sort of like we're saying that because we're on the bhakti team and you guys are on the jnana team, but it's considered the highest way because love is the highest.
It's an evolution. You evolve. The jnana is valid and it's real, but
going
to help you evolve still higher to love.
Going through Mara's text messages is also a way to know Mara. But she may not reveal the highest thing to me personally. She might share it to some people on her cell phone. But the best is through actually loving.
Maybe she's sharing it with Gus. I mean, Gus seems to be like becoming very intimate with the various members of your family. Now from here on out for the rest of the chapter, these are the teachings. This is like a little Bhagavad Gita that we're going to get right here, right? It's like we're going to get like a nice, thorough presentation of bhakti. And let's see, it begins at text 18 and it goes to text 55.
Before I start reading this, I just want to say, because Steuben mentioned this word, Prahlad was a great Mahajan. This is your Sanskrit glossary goodie for the day. You should all learn this word. A Mahajana, right? And a jana is a person. It just means a person.
Yeah.
So a Mahajana is a great, one of the great persons. It's also, there's a list of the great Mahajans, and Prahlad is one of them, the great personalities. So you'll hear that word. Okay.
Now, I just want to point out that little Karuna, 10 years old, has pointed out, Raghunath, this is important.
She's correcting me?
Yes. She does not like the idea of you going through Mara's stuff. That's her stuff, and it's private, and it's for her.
Okay, sorry, Mara. Okay. I don't go through her stuff, even though her phone is unlocked. We have a trust. We've developed a trust. Thank you.
I want to just show some. Let's read this text 18. This is going to be the first verse, and then let's just do something a little unorthodox. Let's jump to the end, and let's just see like where it starts and where it ends.
Okay.
All right. So text 18.
Just as the fruits and flowers of a tree in due course of time undergo 6 changes, Indians love. Vedic philosophy loves to put everything in categories. The fruits and flowers of a tree go through 6 changes. Are you ready? Here's how they break it down. Birth, existence, growth, transformation, dwindling, and then death. Those are considered the 6 transformations.
Yeah, if you see those transformations take place in any form, then that's evidence that a soul is in there making that matter transform through those patterns.
The material body, which is obtained by the spirit soul under different circumstances, undergoes similar changes. However, there are no such changes for the spirit soul.
Okay, so this is where Prahlad begins his teachings to the students. This is what he heard from Narada. Where does it begin? If you want to explain what are the basic existential questions in life, what is life? What is its purpose? What are we doing here? Who am I? What is God? What is this world? It starts right here by speaking of the distinction between the self or the soul and the body. Let's first try to understand that we're not the body. That's where all knowledge kind of begins, right? Now, where does knowledge end? Like, if you follow this thread, where are we going to end up? And that we find in the last verse, which is text 55. You want to read it, or should I just hit it?
You're going to read this text 55? You're going to
I can read it, or you can. Yeah.
No, I'm here. In this material world, to render service to the lotus feet of Govinda, the cause of all causes, and to see him everywhere is the only goal of life.
Okay.
What's the only goal of life? To render service to the lotus feet of Govinda.
And to see him everywhere, right? It's not even that. If it's kind of like, you know what, I worship this God, but everybody else in this world, I got no appreciation, no respect. No, it's like,
it doesn't work.
Yeah,
it's not Bhakti.
You serve the lotus feet of Govinda, of Sri Krishna, but you also see him everywhere. And what that means, we'll get more into when we get there. But that's the thread that we're going to follow. Begins with I'm not this body. It ends with seeing and serving God everywhere. Okay, so then let's go back to text 18, which again is the very beginning of the philosophy of life, of what life is all about. It begins with this distinction, and to understand this distinction, an analogy is used about the fruits and the flowers on a tree. The tree stands there, and the fruits and the flowers, they come and go according to the changing of the seasons. Right? Prabhupada writes this in the commentary. He says, the fruits and flowers of a tree seasonally come and go, but the tree continues to stand. Okay, so similarly, the transmigrating soul accepts various bodies, which undergo 6 transformations. But the soul remains permanently the same. The soul is eternal and ever existing, but the bodies accepted by the soul are changing. So he's saying it's like, in this analogy, the soul is like the tree. It kind of stays the same. And the fruits and the flowers, they're coming and going on the tree according to the patterns of the seasons. And so similarly, we stay the same, although we go through different bodies. The soul remains the same, and we're taking on this body, and then we're taking on that body, and they're continually changing. We need to understand that we are not that body, that we are something different. And this is, in one sense, is the beginning of knowledge. It's the beginning of figuring out, what am I doing here, and who am I, and what is the purpose to all of this? That's kind of where you start. But Prabhupada, this is where he spends a lot of time with this, and particularly when he was traveling around the world for those last 12 years of his life, constantly on the move, constantly meeting new people, constantly being interviewed, constantly speaking to new audiences. He didn't jump to the very esoteric stuff. He would keep people right here, because this is what kind of cracks everything open, this understanding I'm not the body. That's where you begin to kind of figure everything out. And he would often say, like, this Krishna consciousness is not a religion, right? This Bhakti is not a religion. It's a science. He would say it's a science. And for a lot of people, they'd be like, what are you talking about? How is that a science? But let's look a little bit deeper into here. This is Prabhupada's in the commentary. He's going to make a statement about consciousness, right? And consciousness is a very big question in science. What is it? Where does it come from?
How did matter become conscious of itself?
Yeah,
right. That's a big question.
How does matter?
Because oftentimes people say you're just matter. You were just made up of the elements on the periodic table. Okay, how did matter become conscious of itself? That's something they can't answer.
Yeah, how does matter become conscious, or where does consciousness come from? And in Prabhupada's time, when he was writing this was 50 years ago. Okay, half a century ago. And this half century is like the speediest, most like things are developing faster than ever before in this half century. And when Prabhupada was speaking the way let me read this from the commentary. He says, the foolish theory of modern chemists that life can be produced by chemical interactions cannot be accepted as truth.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Srila Prabhupada says this based on his conviction and realization as it comes through these ancient texts. He's saying that consciousness is the symptom of spirit, which is a completely different energy that has nothing to do with matter. They're two different energies, and you can't put matter together in such a way where consciousness develops. Now, that's what the scientists 50 years ago were saying. They're saying, we're going to create life in the laboratory. We're going to create a living cell. We're going to create something that's alive and that's consciousness, that has awareness. We're 50 years down the road. They've struggled trying to do this for 50 years, and they're beginning to realize that they're not going to be able to do it. But they've kind of like moved the goalpost,
Right.
Like meaning generally, like when we say moving the goalpost is like in debate or in argument, it's like one of the fallacies, right? It's like someone says, generally the goalpost is moved farther away. Like, I wouldn't believe that unless it's been verified by this kind of source. Well, it is verified by that kind of source here.
Right.
And then you say, well, but it would also have to be this. Oh, okay, you moved the goalpost on me,
Right.
So, but here, what the scientists are doing today is they're moving the goalposts closer. Like they said, we're going to create life in the laboratory. Now they're saying that artificial intelligence or artificial consciousness, a computer, if sophisticated enough, is conscious.
Right. It's just a mirror of a human, because the humans are programming it. So
Yeah,
it looks, if I look in the mirror, it looks like, well, that looks like a human.
Yeah,
it's just a reflection of everything that you're doing.
Yeah, exactly. It's mimicking human consciousness, right? This is I pulled this off of Wikipedia about artificial consciousness.
You studying Wikipedia again?
Oh yeah, artificial consciousness, also known as machine consciousness, MC, or artificial consciousness, AC, synthetic consciousness, or digital consciousness,
DC.
Yeah, they didn't put DC after that one, but why not? Maybe DC is already taken. But is the consciousness hypothesized to be possible in artificial intelligence? It is also the corresponding field of study which draws insights from philosophy of mind, philosophy of artificial intelligence, cognitive science, and neuroscience. Some scholars believe that consciousness is generated by the interoperation of various parts of the brain. These mechanisms are labeled as neural correlates of consciousness, or NCC. Some further believe that by constructing a system like a computer system that can emulate this NNC interoperation would result in a system that is conscious. Okay, that's their claim. That what is consciousness is just a brain working on a certain level of sophistication. And if we can take a computer and bring it up to that level of sophistication, then the computer is conscious. And it's really such a complete bluff. We all know, like for instance, the human brain can calculate numbers. We can add, we can subtract, we can divide and multiply and so on. And we can also do that artificially. Like the simplest way to do that artificially, externally, would be like an abacus or something like that, right? You slide this little
Yeah.
bead
Simpler
over.
as a calculator, but yeah.
Yeah, then a calculator is a more sophisticated abacus, essentially.
Sure.
But is a calculator conscious? Well, no. I don't think anybody would actually believe that a calculator feels, has emotions, has
Falls in
awareness,
love.
knows what's going on, has self-awareness. Yeah, it feels love, feels anything. It doesn't feel anything. Well, what if you make it?
My calculus is attracted to my stapler. No.
Yeah. So at what point of sophistication does it actually become consciousness? Does it feel? Does it become aware? There's no stage. It doesn't matter how much faster you can make that calculator work or make a computer work, that it actually feels. But what scientists are doing today is they're just kind of bluffing their way through, because they do not want to admit that there's a whole realm of reality that lies beyond the scope of their microscopes and telescopes,
Mm-hmm.
and that has everything to do with the most important questions about life. They don't want to hand that over. They want to say, we're the ones that determine what life is all about, and it falls within the scope of our laboratories. And Bhagavatam is saying this is entirely outside the scope of your laboratories, and all the most important questions about life can only be answered in this way. And so now they move the goalposts closer. Okay, we can't create life. We can't create a living cell. Well, we can create a sophisticated computer. It's conscious. It's not conscious. So anyway, Prabhupada was really pushing that button a lot, 50 years ago. And the landscape has kind of slightly changed in how they're presenting it, but they're still kind of presenting another bluff, just a bit of a different bluff. Prabhupada, he writes this in the commentary. He says, since this body is the external feature of the soul, right? The body is the external feature of the soul. There's no body without the soul. The soul is to fulfill a purpose of the soul that the body is formed. And so since the body is an external feature of the soul is not dependent on the body. Rather, the body is dependent on the soul. One who understands this truth should not be very much anxious about the maintenance of the body. There's no possibility of maintaining the body permanently or eternally. Antavanta ime deha nitya shokta sariranaha. This is the statement of Bhagavad Gita 2:18. The material body is antavat, perishable, but the soul within the body is eternal. Lord Vishnu and the individual souls who are part and parcel of him are both eternal. Nityo nityanam, chaitanas chaitananam. Lord Vishnu is the chief living being, whereas the individual living entities are parts and parcels of Lord Vishnu. All the various grades of bodies, from the gigantic universal body, in other words, this entire universe, to the small body of an ant, are perishable. But the super soul and the soul, being equal in quality, both exist eternally. This is further explained in the next verse. So Prabhupada's saying this universe is alive, and it's alive because there's a spark of consciousness, and it is like the source of consciousness, like Lord Vishnu. It's his awareness, it's his consciousness that's spread throughout this entire universe that keeps it alive. And at a certain point, even this universe is perishable and it will be destroyed. Then there's cycles and another is created. He's saying our bodies are also like a universe, and we're the spark of life that's making it appear to come alive. Our bodies will perish, but we will continue. And that's reality. That's when you begin it's right there that you begin to understand what is going on. And Prahlad will continue in these next verses.
Mm-hmm. Text 20.
19 and 20.
19 and 20. Atma refers to the supreme lord of the living entities. Both of them are spiritual, free from birth.
No, it's the supreme lord or the living entities. So
I'm sorry. Atma refers to the supreme lord or the living entities. Both of them are spiritual, free from birth and death, free from deterioration and free from material contamination. They are individual. They are the knowers of the external body. And they are the foundation or shelter of everything. They are free from material change. They are self-illuminated. They are the cause of all causes, and they are all pervading. They have nothing to do with the material body, and isn't that interesting? Everything that we think we are, we actually have nothing
Right.
to do with
It
it.
has nothing to do.
Like,
I mean,
I'm
in one
white,
sense,
or
we
I'm
have
black, or
something
I'm a
to
male,
do.
or I mean, if this philosophy is right, everything I based my life on is wrong. That's how revolutionary this is.
Exactly. That's our takeaway for today. If this philosophy is right, everything I believe in has been wrong.
I mean, when we really get this, we must feel like we're not of this world. You know, when this really sinks in. I understand the like Sukadeva Goswami, they're like these avadhuts who are like walking around this world naked, just wandering. I can understand. That makes sense. Like, yeah, they're like,
but
what
easy
am I
there, Raghu.
doing here?
Easy, don't. Okay.
I'm advancing.
But you know,
Raghunath's taking off his shirt.
It's like that, like we've said in the past, and maybe tomorrow we can talk about this. But in the past, we've talked about how there's that that art, that op art, that you have to stare into it in a certain way,
and it pops into a 3D.
Yeah, and sometimes there's that episode of Seinfeld where like Elaine was looking into it, and then her boss was trying to look into it, and everybody's trying to tell him like he can't see it. The image hasn't come out yet, and some people are saying like you got to look like you're looking right through it, and then someone else is like saying no, you have to look at it like like right at this. It's like you're trying to adjust your vision so that you can see what's there that you haven't been able to see before. And that's kind of what happens with this kind of knowledge transformation. Like Prahlad is, in a sense, he's saying, look, keep looking at reality. You're looking at your body, you're looking at everything around you, and you're thinking you are that body, and you're going to be happy by connecting your body with the things that are around it. Keep looking, hear this, and try to see it. Try to see these 6 transformations: birth, growth, et cetera, ultimately death. Try to see that, how that comes and goes, and we remain the same. Try to see it. Ultimately, you have to try to feel it, and you keep staring until it comes out. And that's called self-realization. When you kind of realize, like you're saying, then you want to just wander around naked, right? I'm not this body. I'm not.
Whereas we're like searching for dead ends. You know what I mean? And you can see how this culture is getting more and more caught up in these dead ends. Things like a peer will give. I just have to take thousands of pictures of my face to see my face from different angles. And I see all these other beautiful faces. And what this whole thing with social media does, it cements you more to the concept that you are a face, that you are these abs or biceps or legs or hair or eyes. Yeah. And it ties you tighter and tighter to the illusion. Right. And so, or we even have this feeling, I feel like I'm a man. I feel like I'm a woman. Those are all illusions too. You're not. Stop trying to convince yourself you're a man or a woman, or if you're of other gender, they're all it's all fabricated in your mind. It's just you're actually spirit souls. Start to identify yourself as a spiritual being, and those other ones will just be like, we used this analogy yesterday, blowing on a boil. The boil hurts. It's growing on my arm, but when I blow on it, it feels good. It's not going away. That's not making the boil go away. That's just giving it just a little relief. I'm feeling this. Hey, you know what? Who cares what you're feeling? Here's what the Bhagavatam says you are. Try to feel like a spiritual being. Make that your identity. Try not to impress anybody with your body. Try not to impress anybody. Once we're thinking about how to impress people, or even try to feel grounded in something that's not me, we are opting in for illusion. What do you think about that?
I'm with you,
Stuba.
I'm with you. You hit it right there. We just ran out of time, but I think that was a great way to conclude today's show, Rogan.
Opting in for illusion.
You ready for some takeaways?
I'm ready, Miss Mayor. What you got?
Thanks.
I love these websites where you have to convince the website that you are not a robot. Every time I see that. Are you a they asked me if I'm a robot. I was like, who the hell do you think you are, computer? Asking me if I'm a robot. You robot. You're the robot. prove to you.
Win the hearts of the Brijbasis to advance on your spiritual path.
I like that a lot.
Say that again, Mary.
Yeah.
What's that?
Win the hearts of the Brijbasis
Win
to
the
advance on your spiritual path,
Nice.
like Kana did.
Okay.
No Radha and Krishna, no Lord Chaitanya. No,
You
no,
like
no
that
Lord
one?
Chaitanya, no Radha and Krishna. No Lord Chaitanya, no Radha and Krishna.
Okay.
There are no external disqualifications for Bhakti.
That's right.
Nope.
Love Krishna and he will reveal himself.
Mm-hmm.
Take shelter of a great Mahajan.
Yep.
Okay.
Quiet.
Yes.
We're looking for you. Okay.
The goal is to see and serve God everywhere.
See
Everywhere.
and serve God everywhere. T-shirt. Boom.
Artificial consciousness is a complete bluff.
It's totally artificial.
Bogus.
The important questions of life are answered outside the laboratory.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember that when they first made little toy computers for kids that took 2XL? Do you remember that? It was like a toy little robot you could buy. I am
don't.
2XL. Someone's got to
I
YouTube
remember
search that.
Rock'em Sock'em robots, though.
Yeah, me too. I love that. Fighting a toy that fights each other. You can fight your little brother without getting in trouble. Okay. Sorry.
Alright, it's okay.
Summer boy.
If this philosophy is right, everything I know is wrong.
Mm.
Oh, that is good. That was a good one.
Look deeper until you see the self-realization in the Autostereogram.
Autostereogram there.
Oh, good, Mara. She Googled, you mentioned it. She Googled it. Very good, Mara.
Thank you.
You're doing her job back there.
Thanks. And show your Bhakti sincerity and get a neck tattoo.
Yeah.
You know what I was thinking and would be today?
What?
And Karuna does not like the idea of Raghunath going through Mara stuff.
I think Mara doesn't mind. Personally.
She doesn't even like the idea of you going through Mara stuff.
Mara is an open book. She's got nothing to hide. She doesn't lock her computer.
Still.
She doesn't lock her phone.
No, Karuna is not buying it. No, you leave it alone.
I go through her things that are at the house. I go through her, do you know that? Your boxes of stuff. Your journals. I go through them.
No.
Your diary. Raghunath is cool. Oh, come on. I love you so much.